and the Supreme Court of Canada has weighed in, ruling it is not going to hear a last-ditch appeal from an ostrich farm in British Columbia to save those ostriches. This is a controversial story, one that goes back almost a year now. The Universal Ostrich Farms in BC has already lost 2 legal challenges to keep the birds alive. They lost in the federal court and in the Court of Appeal. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency 10 months ago ordered a cull of those birds because of an outbreak of the bird flu and worries about containing the spread. The Supreme Court briefly delayed the cull back in September to decide whether or not they'd hear the case. Now they've said, no, we're not going to. So there's no longer any legal barrier against the culling of more than 300 ostriches. So what now? We are waiting for a press conference as well to come up by supporters of the bird and also of the farm, including a Trump supporter, a billionaire from New York, who has helped to pay some of the legal fees here. In the meantime, let's bring in Manu Chowdhury. He's a lawyer based in Toronto. He's following the case. Thanks for this, Manu. Appreciate your time. Your take on what this means by the Supreme Court.
Thanks for having me, Todd. Well, what this means from the Supreme Court is the court has decided that there isn't an issue of national importance that merits the court's time to hear this dispute. And while I understand this case has drawn sort of emotional reactions from lots of people, legally speaking, it's an issue that the court has dealt with last year, and in the decisions below, there wasn't any sort of fracturing between the judges or the issues about the regulations applying generally. It's not an issue that other courts have grappled with, come to different outcomes. So when you take all of that together, this is a bit of a expected decision from the Supreme Court. Frankly, I would have been quite surprised if the court had taken this case on, especially in light of it examining these sort of very legal issues a year back.
So just to be clear, because this is the Supreme Court, the top court in the land, Manu, does this now mean that there is no more legal recourse for the farm?
That's right. That's right. So the Supreme Court's decision to decide or Supreme Court's decision not to hear a case is sort of the end of the matter for this saga of litigation. Now, it could mean that the ostrich farmers may have other litigation approaches available to them. It could be that they may commence a civil suit against the agency or the government if they believe that there's certain sort of misfeasance or things of that nature has taken place. But at least for this part of the litigation, challenging the agency's adoption of this regulation and enforcing it, it's done.
Yeah, and so talking about other legal avenues, I'm wondering about the idea of compensation for the birds, because, you know, this is a farm, it is a business, and obviously if you lose the ostriches, you lose your source of income.
Absolutely. And I'm sure it's a very significant outcome for the farmers. From what I understand, the agency had indicated in a press release earlier this year that under the and let me get the name right of the act for your viewers. Under the Health of the Animals Act, which is what the agency is enforcing, there is a provision that says that when animals are culled, certain compensation may be paid. And the agency had indicated that if the farmers can adduce relevant documentation, they would pay fair value for each ostrich and up to $3,000 per ostrich. So compensation is possible. It's not a guarantee, obviously. The agency has indicated that you're going to have to produce some supporting documentation, and there will be a question of what is the fair value, but that's at least a possibility.
Manu, I want to thank you for taking the time for CTV today to give us your take on this story. A lot of buzz about it. Much appreciated.
Thanks very much, Todd.